Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Doom, Hell on Earth by David Abhue and Brad Lineweaver. This is a book that came out in 1995 from Pocket Books. So this is not a classic sci-fi, which is what I tend to review on here sometimes, given it's from 1995. But I'm going to treat it like one because there's a lot going on in it, kind of. It's more fun to talk about it with like some kind of a chart to draw from. So if you recall last year I'm looking for it, I have no idea where it is. I reviewed the first Doom book. In that video, I talked about my experiences playing the games and all of that. So if you want to check that out, I'll include it as the watch this next video thing at the end of this. You can jump there if you want. Essentially, where the last Doom book was a bit repetitive, this one is absolutely chaotic, and it clings to realism by the thinnest of possible threads. Not like the games are overly realistic either, but I mean, anyway. So this review will contain spoilers because none of you are going to read this book, I don't think. Are you? If you are, read it and come back. I'm going to tell you the basic plot just so you kind of understand what's going on. So in the last book, it was basically kind of the first Doom game, but you had two soldiers. You had mainly this guy named Fly. He was in it for like, I'd say 70%, and then this woman, Arlene, comes in as well, and they work together. It's basically just kind of like grinding through the levels of the game, but in book form. Not the most exciting thing, but Fly is a likable character, and when I read the back cover of this book, I was like, okay, this one's probably more exciting. So let me tell you what this says, and then I'll tell you what I took from the plot. So they were creatures seemingly spawned straight from the pits of hell. Demons, zombies, fire-breathing imps, all too horrifically close to the stuff of nightmares to be real. But they were. And on the inhospitable moons of Mars, Corporal Fly Flynn Taggart, Earth's last line of defense against a seemingly inexhaustible supply of alien warriors, beat them back almost single-handedly. Oh, well, there's the plot of the last one. Only to discover that the war had barely begun, because while Taggart was fighting them on Mars, the aliens had established a beachhead on Earth itself. Now, with the aid of a 14-year-old female computer genius, an unrepentantly Mormon sniper, and the best soldier in this woman's army, Fly Taggart must defeat the aliens and their treacherous human allies yet again. Yeah, so that tells you absolutely nothing. So I will tell you exactly what happens. So Arlene and Fly, at the start of this book, are still stuck on Deimos, which is the moon of Mars, and has now moved to Earth. Forgot that this was a thing at the end of book one. So to get back to Earth, they decide, drumroll, to build a spaceship. What? How did these two grunts build a spaceship? I don't know. Apparently, Arlene went to school for engineering. I'm like, but she doesn't have a PhD. She doesn't have a rocket ship building engineering degree. Like, I don't know. So it was very funny. They also had like oxygen deprivation problems, so they were like hallucinating and stuff. Anyway, somehow they managed to build a rocket ship, and somehow it works, and somehow they managed to make it to Earth. I don't know. They also don't start dating, which I found actually kind of refreshing, but I'll talk about that later. After this, they land their spaceship, land crash, whatever, in Utah, in the Salt Lake. I was actually just there. I was there in April or May, whenever over April and May. We drove there from Canada. I talked about this a lot, so I won't talk about it too much. The lake was kind of disappointing. It was just like drying up and like full of bugs. I was like, that's kind of gross. Anyway, so they crash there. They somehow get to Salt Lake City, and they learn that the world has been taken over by the Doom monsters, and Salt Lake City is like the last bastion of humanity in this area because the Mormons have been prepared and they've taken control of it. We also learn that there are humans who are working with the demons, but we don't really see this kind of in this book. I'm sure that'll come into play later. It's kind of just like backstory. So after a lot of boring talking, like other than the spaceship building, which actually wasn't that exciting either, the first half of this book is kind of boring. So they talk for a while. They talk to all the Mormons for a bit, and eventually they get paired up with this Mormon sniper, the guy from the back, and this 14-year-old girl hacker who's supposed to do, I can't remember what she's supposed to do, something she never actually does, because their plan is to get her to Hawaii, where the base is. Do they actually get there? Spoiler alert. No. So the rest of the book is them trying to get to LA so they can get to a plane, but they also have to deal with monsters, and this also involves riding a monster train. Yes, the train is both a monster and it's carrying other monsters. It's like a possum, like a mummy possum carrying its little babies around. So they have to like destroy this train, and then also they have to ride the train and then destroy the train. Anyway, and then there's also like a supermarket full of zombies at one point. It's kind of like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. There's just a lot of shooting, and I mean that's most of the game anyway. So it's kind of like feeling like you're in the game again. You're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna shoot a bunch of stuff. What was interesting about the book, other than kind of the battle scenes are fun, like they're entertaining, is that Fly, while he's the main character and it's in his point of view, there are a few chapters in Arlene's point of view and one or two in the Mormon dude's. His name's Albert. And then there's even one in the kid's point of view. And they're well done. There's like a distinct narrative voice, and the purpose for doing this was clear. I thought that was actually one of the best things about the book, like narrative-wise. It was just made it more interesting. Okay, so to talk more about this fabulous novel... It's coming up on 30 years on this earth. I'm going to apply my classic sci-fi bingo to it, kind of more as a jumping off point than anything, because like a lot of this stuff it's not a classic sci-fi at all. I wouldn't call it a classic at all. But it's kind of fun to talk about. So, I'll put the chart up, why not? So, outdated science. So there's something I'm going to read to you because I don't know what it means. Okay, what weapon do you have there? Arlene asked Jill. The 14-year-old picked up a slim box from the table. Took me a moment to recognize it as a Comp Mac Big Punk Ultra Micro with a radio telemetry port. I don't know what this is. A Comp Mac, I'm assuming that means a like compact MacBook, it's like a tablet, I guess. A tablet, I guess. Anyway, I was just like, okay. It's very outdated because it's like huge, and apparently that's what she needs to hack into stuff. I mean, right today they just like use their phone or like their like watch or something. Yeah, so let's see. Next is spaceship blows up. I mean, their homemade spaceship does crash in the desert, or in the lake, in the Salt Lake. So, that does count, I guess. That part was so stupid. Societal changes, not really, at least for the 90s. It kind of felt on par for the 90s. Sexy female scientist? No. Jill, the child, is not sexualized, thankfully, and she's not a scientist, she's a hacker, and I mean, she and Arlene, I think, are the only women in the whole book. But that's okay, there's like 3 men, too, so it's not like it's that bad. Cool aliens. I mean, yeah, the Doom aliens are cool. I'm not going to talk about them in too much detail. You know what they are if you've played the games. The featured ones that appear here, though, are the Imps, the Pinkies, the Cyber Demons, the Spider Masterminds. That's the one driving the train. The Revenants, and the Mancubuses. Is that what those floaty, gross ones are? Yeah, anyway, that's what you get in here. You don't get any, obviously, the stuff from the new Doom games. I don't think I even played those. I only played, like, the 90s ones. Anyway, ancient tech and ruins, there's none of that. There's no generation ship. Space soldiers, yep, they are soldiers, and they were space soldiers in the first book too, so yeah, technically. AI and robots, yes, there's a cyborg dude at one point. I guess that counts as a robot. Is a cyborg a robot? We don't really, you know what, no, because we don't really know how robotic he is, because he's kind of unconscious the whole time. They just kind of carry him around. They find him tied up in the spider monster train, and they rescue him. I'm not sure. Oh, they rescue him because they think that he might be like, they might be getting information from him somehow. I don't know. It's not very clear because he never wakes up and they never really talk to him. So I'm guessing he's going to be in the 3rd book. Yeah. Anyway, so no, never mind. There's no AR robots in this. New Worlds, nope, not in this one. Cyberpunk, no. Blatant sexism, no. As usual, let me talk about the ladies for a second. So Arlene, she's great. She's always competent, but she's not perfect. You know, she's also not super hypersexualized. I mean, Fly loves her, but she's very tough and she reminds me a lot of Vasquez from Aliens. But, I mean, every kind of military woman from that time reminds me of Vasquez. Yeah, she's just kind of, like, tough and, like, brash and, like, kick stuff. Jill is great because she's not infantilized, especially for being a young girl. There are some wild lines about Arlene, though. But it's also shown, like, how stupid Mormon sexism is, because they treat her with less than respect, and Fly's always, like, telling them off for it. So I liked that. I'll read you one of the wild lines about Arlene. I began examining some of the boxes while Arlene kicked one across the room, but that didn't bother me. She was never meant for the modern age she was born into. She'd have been more homey as a freebooter in the days of blood and iron, when one physically competent woman did enough in her lifetime to breed legends of lost Amazonian races of warrior tribes. She had guts, she had cold steel will. She didn't have patience, but what the hell? I don't really know what that means. lot of this book means, to be completely honest. Some of it is also in kind of like slang from like the 90s, from 30 years ago. And I mean, I was in 95, I was like 11. So, so yeah. Reptile aliens, no. LGBTQ plus, okay. So there's this weird thing. So Arlene's, this is told on one page and then it's never talked about again. So Arlene doesn't like the Mormons because her brother is a Mormon and she gets really mad about this. And she goes on about this for a while and I kind of zoned out because it's boring. But so Arlene's brother, he isn't gay, but he was, I guess, kind of a twink. Or at least gay dudes thought he was. Like, he was appealing to them for that because of how he looked. Apparently he has long eyelashes and he's very effeminate, whatever. Apparently he worked in the theater, a stereotype here, so he got hit on a lot by gay guys. And well, if he had been gay, he would have been open about it, Arlene says. But because he wasn't gay, the fact that gay guys kept hitting on him all the time gave him a complex, and he became sort of a predator towards women, even towards Arlene at one point, which is very strange. And then he converted to Mormonism. That backstory, I was like, what? I had to read it like 3 times. I would not consider this representation at all, obviously. I'm also not sure what the point of this was in the story. I was like, what is going on? Like, is he trying to show that in the future? Like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm moving on. Portals. There's no portals in this one. There's no microfiche. Of course, it's 95. The male MC is a dick. No, Fly is the furthest thing from a dick. He's a sweetheart. I love him. Not only is he loyal to saving humanity, but despite clearly being in love with Arlene, he respects her desire for them to just be friends and doesn't stop her from trying to get with Albert, who is clearly like the worst. I don't know why Arlene wouldn't go for Fly, because he's like awesome. But anyway, you know, you like what you like. He also tells men off, as I said, when they tried to talk over or talk down to Arlene and Jill. Fly is an ally before his time. Thank you, Fly. Oh my god, I forgot about the whole Albert thing. Okay. So, despite him being a stuck-up, kind of preachy Mormon, and he's pretty unlikable, I consider him kind of like a turd of a person, Arlene has the hots for him. It's something, you know, enemies to lovers, somewhat kind of just a physical thing, because apparently he's like jacked. But when she asks him, like, kind of asks him out, okay, so they're like trying to dismantle this demon train, like she's trying to uncouple it to destroy it. She's like yelling at him. She actually yells at him, I quote, "I find you really attractive," like as they're trying to work on this thing. Anyway, so she tries to hook up with him, and he's like, "I like you, but I'm waiting for marriage. I don't want to have sex with you." I'm like, why do we have this subplot? Like, what is the point of this? Like, is Albert going to be in future books? Like, I hope not, because I don't like Albert. Like, are they going to get married, or is he going to break his religious vows? Like, it was so weird. Albert was so annoying. I was like, what is wrong with you, Arlene? The flies are right there. But again, you like what you like. So, post-apocalyptic. Yes, actually, the Earth is apocalyptic in this, because the demons have taken over. Wild weapons, not really. Like in the last book you had the BFG and you had a whole bunch of cool weapons, but in this one they just have like AK-47s and stuff, and I'm like, boring. Yeah, I mean the demons and stuff have, the monsters have weapons, but they don't really talk about them in detail, so I don't think it counts. Racial equality. Yeah, so there are people covering the book. I think either Arlene or Fly is like half South American. I can't remember. Half Latinx, I don't know. But there are also other people of color in the book. There's these PhD students who are like running this illegal chem shop for the demons, but they're also like spies. It's convoluted. And then the cyborg guy, no one cares about the race at all. It's mentioned, but it's not like rude upon. Like sometimes in like the old books they say like, oh, this person was this, and surprisingly he was a doctor. Like you're like, okay. This wasn't like that at all. Okay. Mind possession, no, there's none of that. Galactic War, yeah, I mean, the demons are from another dimension, and they're attacking Earth, so I would consider that Galactic War. Tech from today. Radio Shack is mentioned at one point, does that count? They also have VR, but, and this is my favorite part of the book, instead of calling it VR, virtual reality, they call it burfing. Like, I'm gonna go burfing in my basement, guys, and put on my headset. Yeah, burfing for body surfing the internet, I guess. I don't know. The 90s was a very weird time. I'm kind of glad I was the age I was, but then I'm also kind of like, I miss some fun stuff. And the Bechdel test, yes, Jill and Arlene, they chat quite a bit. And I was like, oh, good for you, book. There are no quick book bonuses in this. I wouldn't consider Arlene the main character. Fly is the main character. She's just a very like heavily involved supporting character. So yeah, that was Doom Hell on Earth. I hope you enjoyed my very weird, rambly review of this book. If you like the games, if you love the games and need more of them, like here you go. Here's your antidote for needing more Doom in your life. Again, I can't find the first one. I do have the two other ones. Where did they go? I have too many books. They're around here somewhere. And you know what? I'll probably review the third one next year, and I'll review the other one in 2026. There you go. 4 years of Doom. I'll try to read it earlier than that. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments whether you played Doom, I guess.